All right, I'm ready. All right. Hey, everybody. Appreciate y'all joining us today. Welcome to Travel Talks. We're talking about African misconceptions today. Let me know in the comments, as usual, where you are watching from. I am in the south suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. I am home still. Should be home for the next couple of weeks. I always get that question every time I appear on the scene somewhere. It's like, oh, you're in town. But yes, I am in town for a while. But we're going to talk about misconceptions today of Africa and the continent. There we go. All right. I am testing streaming to YouTube. So this is all new for me. So we're enjoying that. So I appreciate y'all joining again today. Again, let me know down in the comments where you are watching from. Hey, let me know also if this is your first time being with us here on Travel Talks. Drop a 1 in the comments if this is your first time. Give me a 2 in the comments if you've been here before. And I'm going to promise to leave some space for any questions or Q&A that you might have towards the end of this. But I want to jump in and kind of tackle these misconceptions. So let me bring up my screen so we can dive off into the conversation here. All right. Got that sorted. Excellent. All right. So you should be able to see my screen here. Do you believe in these 4 misconceptions, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the misconceptions. I got my twos here. All right. I got my people here in the building that have been here before. So thank you for joining us again. We're going to get off into these misconceptions and have a good, honest discussion about traveling to the continent, being engaged with the continent, and even the people on the continent. I got a video that I want you to listen to from one of the brothers there with a message for us. But again, this is Travel Talks, right? It's our Sankofa Experience Travel Talk conversation. This is our weekly conversation centered around traveling the African diaspora, brought to you by Urban Intellectuals. But in the comments, let me know below what's some common misconceptions you've heard about Africa and African culture. I want to definitely dive into these and dispel many of the myths and the fears kind of that we have about traveling to the continent. So if you want to drop those down in the comments, I'll go ahead and start our intro and we can start this conversation. Welcome to Travel Talks, where we embark on a journey of discovery with Sankofa Experiences, powered by Urban Intellectuals. I'm your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, here to guide you through our African diaspora's rich history and culture. Sankofa Experiences is more than just travel, it's a movement. We dive deep into our roots across Africa and the diaspora, turning every journey into a powerful connection with our ancestors. All right, I'm gonna skip that because that annoys me that we got this got this lag. I don't know what this is about. We got to get this fixed, Sister Ashley. So I apologize for that. But welcome to Travel Talks. We're gonna dive into our conversation here today as well. I'm gonna skip the video because that is bothering me. I'm sure it's bothering many of you. But we'll get that worked out for next week so that we can continue to roll as planned. So that's gonna throw a little monkey wrench in what I got set up, but I believe I have the video downloaded on my computer, so I'll be able to work that out. But all right, what's going on in and around the company? There's always a lot happening here at Urban Intellectuals, and I love to try to keep you updated on the things that we have going on. Tonight, Tuesday, we have our conversation on 3 reasons why our story must start before slavery. As you know, we are a Black history company, and this is what we do centered around educating our community and informing them on our rich culture and history, but it has to start before slavery. So Tuesday, November 19th, please join us with our discussion on 3 reasons why our story must start before slavery. I think Sister Ashley should drop that comment down there. Thank you, got that. Excellent. The 2025 wall calendar is almost sold out. So we want to make sure that you get an opportunity to do that. Each and every year, we produce a 365-day fact calendar centered around Black history, right? Each and every day. That calendar is selling fast. I believe there's less than 200 of those available. So if you are interested in getting your 2025 wall calendar, make sure that you go ahead and grab that. All right, so common misconceptions. I didn't see any comments down there, but let's dive into what we've seen in and around the community. So we asked our Facebook group this question: what are the misconceptions and fears that they have centered around Africa and traveling to Africa? And here's what some of them said, right? So that Africa is a country, right? Of course, that is definitely a misconception. Everybody's uneducated, hungry, and homeless, says Nathan. I think like that is part of the propaganda that is perpetuated about the continent. That is the truth, that's for sure. And then Corey says there's no skyscrapers. I hear how people feel certain traditions are demonic. I hear that a lot as well in my travels, at least around the United States and in our circles. We view African spirituality as demonic. But again, these are the shackles of oppression. These are the shackles of colonization that's been put on both of us on both sides of the Atlantic, giving us misinformation about our brothers and sisters on the continent. But we're going to dive into some of those things and separate fact from myth, right? But today, the 4 misconceptions that we're going to discuss is African food. Is it exotic or is it inferior? Africans don't like Americans, right? I know that y'all hear that a lot. Give me a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the comments if you've heard any of these. Not necessarily that you agree with any of them, but if you've heard any of these misconceptions, let me know in the comments which ones you're familiar with, right? All African countries are poor and underdeveloped. I hear that a lot. Africa is a third world continent, right? All of them, right? Right, Tari, right? You just give me all, right? For all of them as well. But this is something that we have to fight here as a company, as urban intellectuals, because we travel to the continent, right? And once you go, you see that all of this is facetious. Because they just lying, right? It's interesting to go to the continent and see Europeans and see white Americans over there in the continent engaging in the very things and activities that we're told to stay away from. That you're told that it's dangerous, it's not good for you, those people don't like you, and all of those things, which is really interesting to me because when it makes me start to think about, right? Because I hear this a lot. Ashley, you know, I'm already off script. So, but it makes me interested when I hear this thing about, you know, Africans don't like us. They don't like us. They sold us into slavery. Why you want to go over there anyway? They sold you into slavery. I always start to think about, then why you here in America? Because didn't they buy you? Didn't they purchase your people? Didn't they enslave you for hundreds of years? Didn't they miseducate you? Didn't they Jim Crow you? Didn't they stick the dogs and the water hoses on you? Didn't they do all of these things continuously and still doing things today? Aren't the police openly murdering and killing us on camera? Like, aren't we being legislated out of our vote? Are we being economically depressed inside of our communities? Are we being miseducated by these same people today? So it's like something that happened a couple of 100 years ago. You're supposed to hang on to that and separate from the continent, but you're supposed to embrace everything and everybody here. I just always find that narrative really, really interesting. And it's something that we definitely gonna dive deeper in and bust up more and more here as a company here at Urban Intellectuals, because it just don't make sense to me, right? And I'd like to be a thinker. I like to think rather than get emotional, and just try to figure out what's in it for us. What's the best movement for us? So if you're going to embrace America, then I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't embrace Africa and the diaspora. In fact, I think we're stronger together as a global people, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that in a moment, right? So, as I say, would you like to know the truth, right? Let's dive and let's dig deeper into the truth. Let's go under what the lies and the misconceptions have been said, because you know we got receipts, right? We've actually been there, right? So African food, is it exotic or is it inferior, right? We hear that terminology a lot. Let's dive a little bit into it. I wanted to show you one of the places we were eating at. If I could mute it, it wouldn't be as bad. But this is just one of the places out on the Atlantic Ocean, right there on the beach in the water that you can get a chance to see in a moment. I'm gonna walk over there. And we had this in Senegal. This is in Senegal trip for the Sankofa experiences. Beautiful location. I should have started the video from outside so actually where this place is at. You can eat indoor or outdoors. We chose to eat indoor on this particular trip. But as I kind of get of the scenery that we're in, right? It's all glass everywhere. There's a here, and that's the Atlantic Ocean that you see over there. This isn't too far from the hotel that we stayed at, but it's a beautiful scene and a nice environment, and the food is absolutely delicious, right? I love it. Every time I go to the continent, it makes me realize that our food is so much more contaminated than we like to pretend, right? I can't tell you exactly what is in our food, but I can tell you that a lot of the things that are in there are not in the foods in Africa, right? It's not like a heavy processed diet. It's a lot of fresh foods. The fish and the food that you're eating, they're literally pulling out of the water and putting it on your plate. It's a beautiful experience to have. That you eat a lot of fresh fruit over there. In fact, they view fruit as dessert, right? So you don't get a lot of ice cream, even though that is some ice cream there that the travelers absolutely love. I think I squashed that picture so it looks a little um, distorted. But it is a lot of fresh food, fresh vegetables is what you get. The chickens are like normal sized chickens. You don't have these robust chickens that we have that are clearly being pumped with all sorts of chemicals and things that aren't the best for us, right? But that's kind of a lot of what you see. A lot of rice. There is rice in there. It's either yellow rice or brown rice. This here is white rice over some chicken yassa, which is absolutely delicious. I don't know where we get this misconception that they food is inferior or is nasty. When y'all known Black folks not to make some good food, right? Like that's something that I think, yeah, steroids. They pumping them chickens with steroids. So when you see the chickens running around and they're like little, it almost looks weird because you're used to seeing these big plump chickens that we purchase and put into our bodies that is clearly deteriorating us and causing morbid obesity throughout the country, not just Black people, right? But it's really interesting when you get over there because I'm telling you, the foods are so much different. It's so much fresher. I love the fruits over there. I should have had my pictures of the mangoes. Every time I go, it just tastes like candy. It's so delicious, right? The pineapples, it's like you have these fruits for the first time because it's just so different than what we're experiencing here in the United States. This is a beautiful restaurant that we went into while we're over there. The lag is blowing me, but I just kind of wanted to see a little bit of the interior. And I wish I could mute it so it wouldn't be as annoying. But walk in there, there are beautiful locations inside of Africa. There are skyscrapers, high-rise buildings. People aren't living in huts. There's roads, water systems, like everything that you're in the United States is there, but everything runs differently in Africa. Down on the left, doesn't that look like a delicious fish? And the fruit and the vegetable that I have down below is stunning, right? Like it's worthy of the conversation itself. It was absolutely delicious. I loved it. I asked for more. They got some sort of glaze on it that is absolutely delicious. And then this is jollof rice on the right from a different location. I got that at an authentic spot. We were off the tourist path. We went, we walked through a couple of alleys, walking to the back of the building. And I got me some jollof from where the Wolof people actually eat it themselves, right? So it's absolutely good. I love it. I love the seasoning. I think for our palate here in the United States, I mean, come on, Cam. For our palate here in the United States, their foods are probably a little bit spicy. For most of us, at least in West Africa. West Africa is, like they like their seasonings, right? So you can ask for no spice or less spice, but I'm gonna tell you, if you say no spice, it's still gonna be a little spicy. And I'm not a spicy food eater, so I want you to know that's not like my thing. My wife, I call her a dragon because she loves spicy foods. I'm not in that camp. I get heartburn. I don't really want all of that. But I haven't had a problem eating on the continent. If you're vegetarian, you don't have any issues there as well, or vegan, you won't have any issues as well. They know how to prepare all the meals, right? And there are a lot of vegetarians there on the continent as well. No matter where we're traveling to, north, south, east, or West Africa, there are many options available for you. So I just wanted to highlight that. Let me dive back into my presentation here. Keep it going. All right. So global influences, right? So many African dishes and ingredients have influenced the global cuisine, from yams, coffee, and peanuts. There's just so much. In fact, here's top 8 countries that supply and what they supply to the U.S., right? So think about this. Do you use any of these things, right? When it comes to Ethiopia, that's actually the birthplace of coffee, right? And it's where it's highly sought after globally, their coffee and their food. This is teff, which is a gluten-free grain used to make injera and gaining popularity in the healthy food markets. If you've ever been to Ethiopia or you like Ethiopian food, then you've definitely ingested some teff while you were eating your injera, right? If anyone has had any of that, Ethiopian food is absolutely delicious. I love all the food on the continent. Everything is a little bit different, but the taste buds are the plethora of taste buds, and the palate is definitely there for your exploration, right? Ghana is one of the largest producers of coca, right, which is chocolate, producing the world's chocolate in the on the planet. There we go. Ghana is one of the world's largest cocoa producers. There we go. Critical for chocolate production. Shea butter. I know every home in here has a bunch of shea butter available on your shelves, but a lot of that is coming out of Ghana. But they use it for cooking as well. They use it for cooking. They use it for health. They use it in their hair, and they definitely use it on their skin. There's a lot of different uses of shea butter, but a lot of it is coming from shea butter farms right there in Ghana. The Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire, is a coca, and then cashews is one of their top exports as well. Nigeria, yams is a big thing, and palm oil is behind really the fall of the Nigerian empire, the empire there, as some of the global capitalists moved in to take control of that palm oil industry. But it is a large supplier of palm oil around the world. I go into the history of that another time. I almost slowed down and just got into it, but we'll just keep it moving. But it's a really interesting history with palm oil in Nigeria. South Africa, right? So wine, right? This is wine country is coming out of South Africa. I know any wine drinkers out there. I like to partake in a glass or 3 of wine myself, so no judgment from me. If you're judging me, hey, maybe you just haven't had a great wine before. But South African wines are delicious. Citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, and grapefruits are exported seasonally out of South Africa. Morocco supplies the world with olives and olive oil, and a lot of spices are coming out of there as well. Cumin, paprika, saffron are often exported to the United States. Senegal is famous for peanuts, right? So peanuts is a thing there in Senegal, and they have this peanut stew that is absolutely, it's different. I can tell you that it's different. The consistency is unusual, but it's delicious, right? I forget what they call it, but it's good. I've tried it at a couple of different locations. I like to explore a little bit. I'm adventurous when it comes to eating. But if you're gonna go on the experience, you gotta at least try some things that expand your palate, right? Egypt, Makohia. Boy, my tongue and this language. I'm gonna get there though. But leafy greens used in Middle Eastern African dishes, and then herbs and spices coming out of Egypt are a major thing, right? But thinking about the foods, I do want to say, like, while we travel to these places, and I showed you some of the more exotic foods or were really native foods to the land. Um, if you want pizza, you can have pizza, right? Like I was just in Ghana. I had pizza for lunch, right? I did it, right? You want spaghetti, they eat spaghetti, right? You want French fries, there's French fries, right? So a lot of the American comfort foods that you're used to are available while we travel, right? You don't have to just eat native foods, but again, when you travel to the continent, I want to encourage you to expand your palate, to give some things a chance, and to reach out and try something new, try something different. But I did want to assure you that I'm eating uh, omelets in the morning, right? Like omelets and egg omelets in the morning, and pancakes are there. Like all of the stuff that we're really used to is available, right? While you're there, as Africa continues to develop and more of us start to go home, travel is really important to the industry there, right? So they are definitely going out of their way to make some of the comfort foods that you're used to so you feel a little bit more at home and a little bit more welcome, and you're telling people to come back, right? So there is that element there as well. All right. Africans don't like Americans or African Americans, right? Africans hate us, right? This seed of division that's been planted in the community. They don't like us. I want to speak to that directly and say that's a lie, right? Like I don't know how else to say it. When you go home and you meet the African people, they are very welcoming, they're very warming, and bringing you in. When you some of us, I'll say this, some of us have met Africans that come over here and they feel like they might be a bit standoffish or they are trying to separate and not really engage the African American community. But that's because the colonizers on that side who controlled their educational system brought them up um, under the understanding that you're the problem, that Black and African people here are the issues. You see the media's angle is played out around the world. Y'all nothing but thugs. You're all you're doing is causing violence in the community. You're criminals. Your women are promiscuous. All they doing is having babies out of wedlock. They're leaning on the welfare system, the welfare state. All the neighborhoods are violent. This is what's steadily fed into the Africans about us, right? And that not only is it fed into us and the media here, but this is a global thing. So you have to kind of have that lens of understanding, but this is why we travel so that we can start to break down those barriers and break down these lies, right? And separate truth from fiction, starting to have conversations one-on-one with one another. In fact, like I was on Sundays, every Sunday we host Sunday dinner here on the Zoom platform, right? So Sunday dinner is food for the soul, right? That we have great conversations centered around the ideal of gathering at grandmother's table, right? So for Sunday dinner, but instead of actual food, we get these soulful conversations that we have that feed us from the inside out. And this brother Kofi from Ghana showed up and he expressed his experience, right? So he came to America in 1962. I believe it was 1962, right after Kwame Nkrumah had taken power as the first president of Ghana. And he said when he got here, he was like, he said he thought he said, he didn't say he thought, he said, when did all these Africans get here? Like when did they get here? How long they been here? What's happening? And the people were saying, no, they're not Africans. These are Americans. And he's like, nah, I know Africans when I see them. These are Africans. What are you talking about? And when did they get here? And everybody paused in the conversation because when did they get here? Like, you're not familiar with the slave trade or the slave genocide? And here's the catch. No, he wasn't. That's because, and he went on to elaborate, again, the British were in control of the educational system. So they're not telling folks what they're doing around the world. They're miseducating people. As ridiculous as that sounds, that's what you find today when you go to the continent. If you have some conversations, unless someone is going out of their way to educate them on the process and what's going on, they don't know, or they have no real understanding of like what's happening here or what's going on. So I when I talk to my brothers and sisters here, I'm always like, one, you got to travel because you got to go see and experience these conversations for yourself. But two, we got to give some people some grace. Everybody don't know what you know, right? And you don't know as much as you think you know, right? So we have to listen to one another and engage with one another more and more so that we can continue to learn. But a lot of people were blown away that when he said that he didn't know anything that was happening or how these Africans got here, right? Miseducation is a real thing, right? And I always say that the miseducation of history is not about the past, it's about the future, right? It's about the future. So it's about controlling the narrative so that you think a particular way and you see a people a particular way. So either you don't engage with them or you only engage with these certain types of people because of your historical understanding of what has transpired. And that's what we're trying to do here at Urban Intellectuals, is breaking down those barriers of understanding by sharing rich history and culture, right? But I want to dive into this conversation about they don't like us, which is a lie, right? It's just not true at all. In fact, this is what you get, right? You get, it's good to see you, my brother and sister, right? So I want to bring up this brother's words and let him say it for himself, because I was just in Ghana earlier this month, and I was asking them this question, right? Do Africans like African Americans, right? And here's one of the brother's responses.
How do Ghanaians feel about African Americans? Let's ask that question. So, is it?
All right, hold on, because I don't know if that's really, that pausing is like bothering y'all. It's driving me nuts, right? So let me get the one from my computer. Oh, did I not download that one? Did you really, Fred? All right, I'm gonna try to play it while let's see if I can download it. It buffered a little bit, so maybe it'll work. So, is it? Sometimes people ask me this question a lot. Yes. So how do Africans feel about the African Americans? Because the history of it. Okay, that's bothering me. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, I wasn't sharing my screen anyway, was I? Okay. So y'all didn't see none of that. Good. All right. Good. All right. Here's that, brother. I saved it over here. All right. I got it. Yeah. Oh, I thought I had it. There we go. All right. I got it right here. All right. We're going to try this again. All right. That's it. All right. I got my sound. Let me share my screen. Applications. Okay. There we go. So now y'all should see my screen, and this should play straight through.
How do Ghanaians feel about African Americans? Let's ask that question. So, is it? Sometimes people ask me this question a lot. That how do Africans feel about the African Americans? Because the history that has been taught some out there is that we never love you, we don't like you, we sold you, so why should you have to come back? This history that you know is not an history from us. It is an history from your oppressors to you. So what do you expect your oppressors to write? Those that have visited the land would never want to return again. They are always ready to even settle and live in this land. We love you. You are one part of us that has been missing. So how can I dislike you if you are one part of me? So we in here love you, and we in here are waiting for your return. Because you come from families that many of them were stolen. These families that you were stolen from have never had closure. Because nobody has brought to us your dead body that you were killed or you died. So whenever we see you coming in here, for us, it gives us closure. It is for us to say to ourselves, at least I lived to see the coming of our children. So we love you.
What's a message that you probably just want to leave with the community?
You see, the community, I have this beautiful message for you from a quote by Peter Touch, who basically said, don't matter the nationality. As long as you are a black person, you are an African. They will never let you know about Africa. They will never mention Africa to you. Because whenever they mention Africa to you and you learn about Africa, you'll be interested in the resources, the languages, the strength, and the technical gifts of this community. And you will learn how important your ancestors are and how stronger a king and queens you are. They'll never let you know. But I tell you, if you are a butterfly, never see yourself as a bird. You are an African, and so is who you are.
I love that brother there. He runs the if you've seen our videos or something that we put out, I was talking about Slave River and the last bath and the places that the ancestors were taken prior to going to the dungeons. He leads like the cultural education part of this. But I love what he says, right? But that piece about history is the big thing, right? Because the more that you learn and understand about Africa and Africa, then the more you become interested in the resources, in the skills of the people, and the reconnection of the community. So the people that are in control of these things now don't want you to start gaining interest in what's happening there, whether it's in the grounds of Congo, right? You say, hopefully y'all are paying attention to what's happening in the Congo, all over the continent, right? I know in Sierra Leone, they're just mining diamonds, still pulling diamonds out hundreds of years later out of the ground. In Ghana, it's gold. This is called the Gold Coast for a reason. It ain't the Gold Coast because the sand is pretty, right? It's the Gold Coast because this is where the gold comes from. So if you start to learn your history, you start to reconnect and start to feel a connection with the continent, eventually you're going to start getting interested in the politics, interested in the resources, interested in the people, interested in business, interested in linking up internationally and doing trade together, right? So there are some forces, let's just say, that are not interested in seeing that happen. So miseducation is a key piece to all of that. And then division between us is the strongest factor, right? So we have to stop perpetuating this nonsense that we aren't welcome, that no one is interested in reconnecting with us, because it's just not true. If I had more time, I could share more of these interviews with you, because the brothers and sisters there are begging you to come home, to come and reconnect with them all over the continent. And it's happening, right? So we are coming back. So these Sankofa experiences that we're putting on is part of that reconnection that we're looking to drive throughout our community, right? Try to keep going. Y'all know I'll take a left and it'd be much longer than I intended. But here we go. Okay. All right, so some of the other misconceptions, right? All African countries are poor and underdeveloped. This is nonsense, right? Africa is very diverse, 54 nations with a variety varied economies, cultures, and cities thrive in African cities like Lagos, Johannesburg, Joburg, and man, Accra, like every all the places are like I'm losing my mind, right? I'm losing all my thoughts, right? But Dakar, Senegal, Nairobi, and Kenya. I mean, it's all sorts of big cities and major developments that are happening all over the continent. It is a beautiful place, right? It's definitely different. It's not the United States. They say unless you go to South Africa, they say South Africa is like the West, right? Because it's highly developed. It's been colonized for a long time, and it's been a long history of oppression and control over there. If you stay on the beaten path, right? But if you start to go off into the villages, you will start to see how many more of the Africans live. So it's a variety, it's a very landscape, which is just like America when you think about it, right? The downtown Chicago is not indicative of the entire country, right? That is not what rural Mississippi looks like, right? That's not what the cornfields of Iowa looks like, right? So it's not, your major cities are not indicative of how everyone is living, but it's definitely a lot of variety on the continent. Africa is a third world continent. Um, this is really a derogatory term, right? But it originated during the Cold War to classify countries that were not aligned with either the capitalist West or the communist East, right? Over time, it was misused to refer to poor and underdeveloped nations, ignoring the diversity, progress, and potential for these countries, especially in Africa, right? So the modern reality is Africa is a continent in contrast, with challenges in some areas and growth in others, right? There's a lot going on the planet, on the continent, and a lot of hands in the pot, right, that are interfering with the progress of the people and the progress of the countries on the continent. And it seems like when brothers and sisters rise to power that have their interests of their people at heart, somehow they end up getting killed. Somehow they end up getting murdered. Just so happens every time someone has a political agenda that goes against the West interest, this person ends up missing. This person ends up exiled. Y'all, I think y'all feel what I'm saying, but I just say it, but they are murdering and killing individuals that don't conform to the agenda. So when you hear this nonsense about, well, then why Africa's still so poor? Because the people that's been looting it for hundreds of years are still doing the same thing. Like, ain't nothing really changed. It's just under a different guise, and they have African leaders in power in place. But as soon as they start talking differently, again, they go missing. And this is just historical fact, right? And this is still happening today. And this is the same thing that's going on in Haiti, right? Why is Haiti so poor? Man, folks that done got rich on their backs won't get off their back. Let me continue though. But here, this is the four hard truths, right? Here are four truths, right? The African food is amazing. The food in Africa is amazing, right? From the top to the bottom of the continent, there is some excellent eating opportunities, right? For my foodies out there. I learned in Senegal in May that apparently I'm a foodie, right? Like I don't like the spice stuff, but I'm a foodie because African food is delicious, right? It turned me into a foodie. Africans love us. I'm definitely planning my move now. The wife and I were talking about it today, actually. But they love us. And like something else that I heard while I through my travels is how y'all. I asked this sister. We were in Senegal, and she was from South Africa, and I was like, what are your thoughts on African Americans? Like, the thought in the country is they don't like us, and she was just like. Now, this sister was well traveled too. Now, I got to say, I want to add that on. But she said, I can't understand how y'all don't think we like y'all. Have you noticed that all the trends come from you? Like, they watch it. There's like, we got access. We're watching y'all for the movement, right? Like, we love the African-American people. We love the culture. We love everything about y'all, right? And you find that in London. And you find that really all over the globe. y'all know we move the world, right? The African Americans move the world. We don't control our culture, so we don't capitalize on it, which is why we're losing trillions of dollars that could be flowing through our economies. But that's another conversation. But she was just baffled at really that I would ask her the question, do Africans love African Americans? And I thought that was interesting. I wish I would have got that on camera. Then the Africa is rich in resources. I mean, we just talked about the foods, right? But Africa is literally supplying the world everything. Africa should be recognized for its resilience, its potential, and its global impact. Um, Africa has always been the jewel of the world, and it always will be. I'm just waiting for the day that we, us Africans in America, realize this and start to get involved. Now, everybody's not going to move to the continent. Everybody don't have to move to the continent, but I think we need to start supporting the continent so this continent can start supporting us. We need one another globally. And this includes the Caribbean and Central and South America, as well as the rest of the globe. We need to start coming together. But I think travel starts to raise some eyebrows and starts to raise some awareness on this need. All right. Do you have any questions for me? I think I did. Not too bad. 41 minutes today. I was trying to stay on script and keep things moving along. Any thoughts, any comments that y'all want to leave with us today? We have trips going to the continent all year round. So if you're interested in going, but most of the trips are capped at 30 to 35 people. So unless the date is taken up, you'll have an opportunity to travel with us. We are trying to make it easy, fun and easy for people to explore traveling the African diaspora, learning more about our history, our on this planet, and our opportunities as a community while we get to see some of the wonders of the world, right? We get to see the Great Pyramids. We get to cruise down the Nile. La Renaissance there in West Africa. We get to go to Tabletop Mountain down in South Africa, the islands of Zanzibar. All of it is available here and through our Sankofa experiences. These trips will change your life. They are opening up people to world travel, to African travel. We are going next year for the first time. We're opening up Brazil. So that's going to be an interesting opportunity for folks to gather and come with us. I believe Brazil is in September. We're starting Ethiopia as well. But Brazil has the largest population of Africans outside of the continent of Africa. There are 135 million Africans in Brazil, and we're looking to go connect and reconnect with them. But if you have any questions, you can always shoot us an email at support at sankofaexperiences.com, or you can jump on the website, sankofaexperiences.com, and visit us. Click around on the links, find what you're looking for, what trips you're looking for, or leave us a message so that we can follow up and follow through on making your travel to Africa adventures a reality. So I'm going to skip my outro video because that lag is going to drive me crazy. I don't know if it's going to drive y'all crazy, but I appreciate y'all joining me for our travel talks here at Sankofa Experiences. Each and every Tuesday, we are here sharing information about traveling the African diaspora, hopefully open up some eyes and minds and hearts to the African community and people around the globe. So for the rest of the team, thank you, Sister Ashley, as usual. And the rest of the team, I'm Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals. Black History Made Easy is not only our mantra, but it is our promise. So until next time, good people, take care. Take care of your people. Be blessed. Have some good food and interaction. Hopefully, I'll see you tonight on our chat, on our discussion about 3 reasons why we must start our history before slavery. But until then, I'll talk to y'all later, right? Love, peace, and power to the people. Have a good day, everybody.